Apple finally sent out their invites for their September event, and it looks like it's definitely happening on the 14th at 10 a.m., which is extremely exciting because we've been waiting 3 months for this tech drought to be over. But enough about that, let's get into the actual invitation that Apple sent out, because there are a bunch of Easter eggs and hints within the invite itself and other tweets like the one from Apple's Greg Joswiak that point to some of the biggest rumored features and changes actually getting revealed at the event. So with that said, let's get right into analyzing the best looking invitation Apple has ever created. But first, I want to mention our new M1X chip t-shirt design, which you can find in our merch shelf right below this video. To start things off, let's dig right into the title of the Apple invite, which is California Streaming. Now, this is obviously a spin on the California Dreaming song by the Mamas and Papas, which I admit is a pretty awesome song because it takes us back to the rise of Apple in the 1970s when they released the revolutionary Apple II computer. And that was also back when they had the multicolored Apple logo that they used in a bunch of their original and creative ads. But getting back to the California Streaming invitation, Apple is using California because that's obviously where their main headquarters is based out of, and the streaming part of it likely points to the fact that this event will continue to be streamed online instead of being in person. Now, the next detail could be a bit of a stretch, but the streaming part could also be pointing to better 5G support with the new Qualcomm X60 modem, which is rumored to be coming to the iPhone 13 lineup. And there's also a chance we could be getting 5G support for the first time on both the iPad mini 6 and the Apple Watch Series 7. Now, looking at the image itself, we can see a beautiful glowing Apple logo. And one of the details that I noticed is that the inside of the Apple logo looks a bit different compared to the background, almost like there is some sort of a filter applied to it. Now, in my opinion, this is directly pointing to the leak from Mark Gurman, where he said that the portrait photo mode is getting a more advanced iteration of standard photo filters. So instead of applying a filter to the entire image at once, the iPhone 13 will use artificial intelligence to add filters to objects and people inside of the photo and not the background. And this is exactly what Apple is showing us in the event invitation. Now, going even deeper, the fact that the invitation image is of a scene happening after sunset kind of points to Apple improving nighttime photography with the iPhone 13 lineup. And this points us to a new leak from Pine Leaks, where they claim that all camera sensors on the iPhone 13 lineup will receive at least 15% more light, with the ultra-wide camera getting up to 40% more light. This by itself is going to be huge for nighttime photography because it's going to greatly help both evening photos and night mode photos as well by reducing the overall noise and the amount of time it takes to take a night mode photo. Now, on top of that, Ming-Chi Kuo reported that the iPhone 13 Pro models will feature an improved ultra-wide camera with autofocus, which will be required if they make the aperture of the ultra-wide lens larger to allow 40% more light, since doing so lowers the depth of field or the amount of a scene that can be in focus at once. Now, on top of all of that, Greg Joswiak tweeted out an augmented reality version of the event invitation, and as you can see, the camera points up at the stars, which basically confirms the rumored astrophotography mode that Max Weinbach leaked a while back. And adding on to that, Anger Danger on Mac Rumors forums noticed that the stars are moving or rotating in the sky, which further confirms the astrophotography mode. Pine Leaks also chimed in on this new feature by mentioning that when you use night mode, it will automatically detect when stars are in the frame and adjust the scene for them. So everything is gonna happen automatically instead of having to manually select an astrophotography mode. I was also able to figure out that Ruben Wu on Twitter is a photographer behind Apple's event invitation, just by the amount of times he retweeted all of the event tweets. And as it turns out, he himself is an astrophotographer, further confirming that the new mode is coming on the iPhone. Now, on top of all of that, Pine Leaks mentioned that night mode will get a new algorithm that analyzes structures, resharpens, and adjusts shadows in nighttime shots, We're also going to be getting better color science for night mode shots, which is a huge deal since it'll no longer mess with the white balance on your face. Now going back to the invitation, the 914 text within the AR version could also be pointing to a new always on display feature, which has been leaked by Max Weinbach many months ago and reiterated by Mark Gurman. So there's a chance we could see that on the iPhone 13 lineup. One thing I also noticed is that the glowing edge of the Apple logo almost seems like it's related to lasers, which is likely pointing to a new second-gen Face ID system, which is going to help make the notch smaller while improving reliability and possibly speed as well. And there's a good chance we're going to be getting a second-gen LiDAR scanner on the back of the iPhone 13 Pro as well. And this actually ties into a little detail from Greg Joswiak's tweet, where he added a little portrait frame emoji at the end of it, which points to Apple improving the performance of portrait mode photos, which is something that Max Weinbach leaked back in May, claiming that portrait photos will now use the depth information from the LiDAR scanner, which it didn't do before. And this should greatly improve the blur edging and avoid random mistakes. Now, another thing that Ben Geskin on Twitter noticed about Greg's tweet is that within the short clip, you can notice a little sunset in the corner of the frame, which could be pointing to a new bronze or sunset gold iPhone color option, which is something that is also rumored to be coming with the iPhone 13 lineup. And interestingly, the Twitter hash flag that Apple chose for the Apple event hashtag is basically a sunset at twilight, further pointing to the new color option. And now moving on to the final detail that I found that gives us a hint at one of the biggest features we should expect on the iPhone 13 Pro is the actual source image that Apple used for the invitation. A Twitter user helped me find the source image by accessing the website source code, and it looks like this. An incredible landscape scene of this beautiful tree line that fades to black on the sides. Interestingly, the aspect ratio of this image is reminiscent of the Ultra Panavision 70mm film aspect ratio, which classic films like Ben-Hur were filmed in, as well as the Quentin Tarantino flick, The Hateful Eight. So as you can tell, this new invitation has me extremely excited for the event next week, where we should expect a bunch of new product reveals like the iPhone 13 lineup, the Apple Watch Series 7, the AirPods 3, the iPad 9, and the iPad Mini 6. Now, if you want to know every specific detail about what to expect from each of those products, definitely watch my full September event leaks video after this one is over. But right now, I want to finish off with a couple of brand new leaks that just came out. A new MagSafe charger for the iPhone 13 just popped up in FCC filings ahead of launch, which could go hand in hand with the rumors of Apple using a larger wireless charging coil for the iPhone 13 lineup to allow for better heat management. Moving on, according to Shrimp Apple Pro, both of the iPhone 13 Pro models will support low Earth orbit satellite connectivity in the United States using Elon Musk's Starlink satellite internet system. But for now, it'll likely only be used for emergency calls and messages for areas where you have no cellular signal. Pine Leaks also gave us some more details where they don't expect a price hike for the iPhone 13 lineup, which is great news. They also believe that the optical image stabilization system will be less aggressive and more smooth compared to previous models, which will help with the new portrait cinematic video mode, which they believe will use a new warp system, which will attempt to keep a subject close to the center of the frame. They also claim that the AirPods 3 charging case will have a 20% larger battery compared to the second gen, and it's gonna have wireless charging included. They also said the overall sound quality will stay the same, but will be getting an improvement on the bass and low-end frequencies. The batteries on the AirPods 3 earbuds themselves will be around the same size as the current AirPods Pro, which is actually around 72% larger than the battery cell in each AirPods 2 earbud, which is a very good sign for battery life. And finally, Pine Leaks claim that the Apple Watch Series 7 should give us our first real battery life improvement since the original Apple Watch. And by the way, Mark Gurman claimed that the Series 7 will be available in limited quantities at launch, So if you wanna get one, definitely pre-order it as soon as it becomes available, or you could end up waiting weeks to get one. So there you guys have it. Hopefully you enjoyed my analysis of the Apple event invitation, and if you did, go ahead and click the circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one, and definitely watch the full September event leaks video right over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.